Alrighty, so we have Khama Worthy versus Jai Herbert. So Herbert has a 2-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage, got quite a nice frame for the division, honestly. Break down the strike into these two. So for Jai Herbert, I think he's a pretty good striker, honestly. I like his strike and it's good. He uses his frame well, he uses his length quite well, fights to the physical attributes that he does have. He's got good movement, he's very light in his feet, and in comparison, Khama Worthy is very flat-footed. Like, sometimes when you watch him fight, you'll think, like, he looks like he's stuck in mud a little bit, like he can't move his feet. But yeah, like, the difference in footwork will be pretty obvious on fight night. Jai will be moving around on the outside. Khama Worthy will be looking to kind of plant his feet and look to counter, which is what he looks to do. Jai Herbert, he's more active, the more active striker. He's constantly feinting, he's constantly pot-shotting with his jab to set up that right cross of his. And, that kind of pot-shotting, that always feinting with the jab, he never really brings the lead. Well, he brings it back, but it's outstretched a lot of the time, so it's not really right next to his chin. He never really brings it back up next to his chin. Khama Worthy, he's always looking for that counter overhand right, and that's one of his favourite strikes, so Jai Herbert does need to watch out for that. Just when he's committing to the jab, if you can feint it out of him, then you'll kind of expose his level changes like that, because Khama Worthy, for his strikes, his go-to strikes, like his overhand right and his right body rip that he likes to go to a lot, especially against southpaws, which he's not facing here, but either way, he uses the same level change for both those strikes, so, if you're able to feint successfully and draw out the level change out of him there, then you can, avoid the two strikes that he uses most often, which is the overhand right and the right rip to the body, because you can see it coming a little bit better. But Khama Worthy, he's constantly looking to counter. He's got a nice counter too. He's a little bit flat-footed, stuck in mud, as I talked about before, trying to look for his countering shots. He's got a nice snap and jab when he does pop it out, but he doesn't pop it out enough for my liking. But yeah, he's constantly looking to counter, and his chin just isn't the greatest. And a counter striker with a bad chin, as I've said before, it's a really precarious combination to have as a striker. And Jai Herbert, he does seem to have a bit of power. Like, he also covers a lot of distance when he does go for his strikes. He's very long, so Khama does need to watch out for a tendency that he has to lean back with his chin in the air to avoid strikes. He kind of just like pulls back really quickly with his chin in the air to avoid strikes. So if he's pulling back on the jab of Jai Herbert and the two comes right after it, it could be night for Khama, because his chin is just really bad, and we'll get into it in a sec. So how these guys lose fights, yeah, as I mentioned before, like Khama Worthy's chin is, it looks like it can't take a punch, it can't take another punch, really. I think the first strike that Jamie Malaki landed, or maybe it was the second strike, and I think it was two left hooks, like it was literally the same combination, like back to back, and he got caught by it and he got put out, like face planted basically, and he's been KO'd 7 times in his career. What's that? 24 fights, 7 times. So, basically it's KO'd in like 30% of his fights. And his chin just looks really shoddy. And, Jai Herbert's chin, it also seems a little weak. It also seems, but it's definitely not on the level of Khama Worthy's. For Jai Herbert, how he loses is poor takedown defense, poor get-ups. Not really something Khama will look to exploit, but it's just something for the future. Path to victory for these two. For Jai Herbert, be on the front foot and use your in and out movement, and then draw out the feints as we talked about before. And for Khama Worthy, use that right rip to bring the hands down, and then you can follow it up with the overhand right, or just the overhand right counter if he's leaving his lead hand out a little bit too long, as we mentioned before. So how I see it going, can't remember if I said that or not. So both these guys, they need a win. I think they're both on 2 fight, yeah, it's right in front of me actually, yeah, 2 fight losing streaks. Both are getting cut, likely, if they do lose here. Both guys have shoddy chins. Both guys have, reasonable power to put each other out. And yeah, I love fights like these. Like honestly, it's gonna have me on the edge of my seat. I love these type of fighters like that have just zero margin for error. Fighters like Khama, like James Vick. Like I used to love watching James Vick fights because it's just he just has such a low margin for error. He can fight the perfect fight, and then at 14 minutes and 59 seconds, if he just eats one punch, it could be night-night. So it's I love these type of fighters. They just have the fight so perfectly because their chins are just that bad. So yeah, all these variables that I mentioned, like shoddy chins, you know, both potentially losing their jobs if they lose, both guys having power, it could spell like a timid affair, but even so, I'm expecting someone to eventually get hit and someone's lights to go out. Just eventually. It's going to happen sooner or later. I think Jai Herbert is the better striker. Even though he's going to be the longer fighter, I think he's faster as well, you know, with his hand speed. I think he's a good striker, honestly, overall. He's just been thrown to the absolute wolves in his first two fights. Like, who was his first? Like, Trinaldo, right? And, I don't want to... Moicano, yeah. So, you know, two very good fighters, and he's just been thrown to the absolute wolves to start off his career. But yeah, I think his footwork should save him from the counters of Khama, because Khama's going to be, as we talked about before, very flat-footed, look for counters. And if Herbert can keep the front foot, keep Khama on the back foot, and then use his in and out movement, I think he should win quite easily. And I think he would also, you know, find the finish eventually. Khama, his chin is just bad, like, and he's a counter striker too, so he needs to have that. He needs to have very good timing, and with his chin, he needs to have very good timing with his counters, or else, you know, and he needs to not get predictable as well. Like it's seriously like it's defining him as a fighter at the moment. Just his chin. It's really hard to look past it. It doesn't look like it can take any more punches. Honestly, it looks done. But yeah, ultimately, I think Herbert, he does find the target pretty early, and he does put Khama's lights out again. So yeah, let's have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Really helps out the channel a lot, trying to get this back on track. So yeah, if you could like it, it helps out a lot. So prediction is Jai Herbert by KO round 1. I think the money line is basically correct. I think Herbert should be even a bit more of a favourite. But I'm not rushing to bet him at this price, just with, you know, not sure where his headspace is at the moment. Came in with a bit of hype to the UFC, got dealt with pretty quickly. He's been a bit unfortunate with matchmaking and stuff like that. So I do think he has a bit of promise, but, you know, I just want to, yeah, just not a guy that I want to trust at this price, just at this point in his career. But I'm more looking at like the KO line or the inside the distance line. If I can get that at like plus 170 or plus $2.70. I mean, sorry, just $2.70. I'll probably even settle for $2.50 or plus 150 even. Just I think Khama's chin is that bad, and I think, yeah, if Herbert connects, he's probably going to put him out, and I think he is going to connect sooner or later. So yeah, that's probably the only action I'll have on this fight. Maybe if the Jai Herbert money line keeps creeping up, then I'll have a stab at that, but nothing too big on this fight.